Welcome to DFS Sweatshop. I'm your host, the DFS Jerusalem, and you can follow me on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem. It has been a crazy week 7 so far. It's just coming to a close. The Sunday night game is over. What a shit show, bro. David Johnson, the only value to be found in the entire game. You had a little bit of Larry Fitzgerald. Carson Palmer didn't do terribly bad, but if you were smart, if you were sharp, and most of us in the sweatshop, we were smart enough to totally stay away from this game. We completely faded it. We didn't have anybody involved in it, and we probably had a pretty good fantasy week. Uh, me, I did pretty well, doubled all of my entries, so it was a profitable week. I came out on the positive side. Um, just wanted to go over, a few plays and a little bit of uh, lineup construction as it got closer to lock. Some things went on. Now we had, of course, the Mike Gillislee news came out where Shady was going to play. He got in the game, didn't play very well. Probably should have just sat out the game. And but I can tell you something good did come out of that for me because some lineups I didn't cash in, and every lineup that I had Mike Gillislee in, I cashed because I was able to pay up at receiver, and all of the big names, the really big names, went off today. Your Mike Evans went off. Julio Jones had a really good game. Of course, AJ Green, which was my top play, my top wide receiver play coming into the week, he did well. And like I said, you could have stacked the shit out of that Cleveland Cincinnati game, and you've been right where you wanted to be. But something funny happened. It was very interesting how when the news broke about an hour and a half before lock that he was in fact gonna play, a lot of people moved off of him because I can guarantee that Mike Gillislee was gonna be 20 to 35% owned. But when the news broke, everybody got off of him, and I think when you get off of a player after you have a lineup set at minimum salary, you got a guy at 3K, and you got to get off of this guy at 3K. Well, where are you going to go? You're not going to go to another guy that's 3K. Or you did have Mike Davis in some spots, and I did pivot to him in a couple spots. I was actually talking to one of our followers in the sweatshop on Twitter, and when he was breaking the news to me, I had a thought. I said, well, I'm not going to get off Gillislee completely because where am I going to go? I mean, best case scenario or worst case scenario, uh, Shady plays the whole game, and Gillislee maybe vultures a touchdown, gets 30, 40 yards, maybe catches a couple balls, and he makes value, gets me 10 points. All right, cool. I can live with that. He only got me 2 points, actually. But that's what I was thinking. So I didn't move off of him everywhere. I did pivot in some spots to Mike Davis, who did score an early touchdown and looked pretty promising, but it ended up not being his day as Sean Drone came out of the backfield and caught a touchdown. So with this situation, because we're going to see this again this year, there's always going to be injuries. With this situation, I guarantee the people that move off of Mike Gillislee for the most part, they had to reconstruct their complete roster because with that much value at 3K, you got to look at how many Julios they had, how many Mike Evans they had, how many maybe Antonio Browns they had, or how high they went up to pay in other spots. They had the Le'Veon Bells, whatever. So when they shifted off of Mike Gillislee, they had to pay up some more, right? And what they ended up doing was changing their whole lineups. Well, I didn't move off of Mike Gillislee, and all the plays that I paid up for because I had that cheap value, they ended up panning out. So I cashed in almost every lineup that I cashed in had Mike Gillislee in it. Now I could have went super ham and maybe switched some shit around and been perfect. And hindsight is always 2020, but that's just to let you know you don't always have to move off of your picks because sometimes this thing is like Tetris, man. The way it fits in, the way the numbers and the values, and you have this much money for defense. Because I was on the Ravens defense. I had the Ravens defense in 90% of my lineups. I knew that going in, and even that almost went to shit because fucking um, Gino got hurt, and then they bring in old gunslinger from Harvard, and he starts throwing fucking not Harvard. Where's he from? Whatever, some Ivy League school, and he starts slinging around touchdowns to everybody. So he kind of fucked up my game script, my game theory that I had with that particular game. I thought that was going to be a 20-point defense this week, but it ended up being the Eagles. So In this installment, we're going to jump straight into week 8. It's going to be a lot of low point total. You can see that coming out of Vegas already. They're all not complete, I don't think. But in this segment, we're going to be, of course, taking our first look at week 8. We're going to be reviewing week 7, everything that went on, takeaways, things we should have learned. Like, I know I'm not the only one who didn't play Jay Ajayi this week. There's plenty of us who didn't. We've got to start looking at this guy as maybe he has real fantasy relevance, as we know that Arian Foster is a shell of his former self. So let's be real vigilant in our studying and our game planning as we go into week 8. And we've got, one more game on the slate, and I really doubt that a lot of people have a lot of stake in tomorrow's game. Houston and Denver being such a defensive struggle, and how about the Seattle and fucking Cardinals game, man? 6-6 tie. Wow. I mean, the kickers totally blew the game, but well, it's neither here nor there. David Johnson had a great week. We learned that we can start him under any circumstances. David Johnson was a really great play this week, and I saw he was like 6-7% owned in the GPP. So again, thank you to all of the new subscribers, everybody that's been liking the videos, supporting the DFS Sweatshop. We've got more videos coming. Definitely NBA. Once we get into NBA, I'm telling you, it's full throttle. Every day we're gonna be putting out content every day when it comes to bankroll management, lineup construction, following the beat writers, understanding who you need to be listening to every day as you grind out your NBA season. Of course, we're still fully invested in NFL. Thank you all so much for coming along with me, and you have a wonderful Monday morning, and we'll be back with you after the Monday night game when all of the Vegas lines come out, because I cannot tell you this enough. Every good DFS player starts with the Vegas lines. We want to know what they're thinking, what they've got the point totals at, and where they're going to be, so we can invest ourselves in those games with the higher point totals, and that goes for any sport. So stay tuned. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming. Once again, I am your DFS Jerusalem, and you can follow me on Twitter at DFS Jerusalem. Let's chop it up. This is not a situation where I'm a genius who just has all the information. No, you have information too. So under this post, after you've liked and you've subscribed, man, comment, mix it up. There's a lot of us in here, and we all like to bounce ideas off of each other, and let's do the best we can with DFS. Thank you. You have a wonderful Monday.